Hello everyone, Cindy Drozda here. I'm in my woodworking shop today in Erie, Colorado, and I'd like to show you how I mount the finial onto the lid of a vessel. For a lidded bowl like this one here, I've made the finial out of a separate piece of wood, and I'm going to show you how I mount the finial onto the lid. What you're going to see is part of a live online wood turning demonstration that I did where I showed how to make a natural edge lidded bowl with a finial. The finial's got to go on a flat surface. So here's the finial's flat surface, and I want to scribe that the diameter of the finial's base onto the top of the blank, because I need a flat spot there for the finial to sit on. So I'm going to use my caliper to tell me what diameter that should be, and then I'll scribe on here with the near point of the caliper, and from here I can proceed to make a shape that ends right about there. Okay, looking good, looking good. Now I'm ready for my finial recess, and what I have done is, at least in reality, what I have done is I have finished the bowl and the lid, and I've set them aside and gone and turned the finial for it. And I make the finial with a tenon, and I just make a size tenon that is going to be good, smaller than the base. But the tenon, when I make it, is not fitted to anything. It's actually at the headstock side, and it's captivated on the lathe, so I really can't get to the tenon on the finial to fit it to anything. So what I will do is, for fitting, make the recess in the piece fit the tenon that I did on the finial. So I'll caliper the lid tenon, or the finial tenon, and I will scribe it onto the lid, scribing with the near point once again. So now I make my recess for the lid tenon, and I like to rough the recess with a thin parting tool and then size it with my recess cutter, that square scraper. I'm using my recess cutter, and I'm looking down on it, closing one eye, and lining it up with the bed of the lathe, kind of like lining up cabinet doors. A small diameter fit like this, I have to be very cautious not to take off a lot of wood, because, and there we are, that's a good enough fit right there. So on the top, I'm going to scrape a smooth flat, and I'm going to be tuning that flat to match exactly with where the fillet on the bottom of the finial meets. So right there, I'm taking a look at it and seeing that the flat really could be a tiny bit wider, just a tiny bit wider. And I'm slightly undercutting that surface. For the gluing, I use Titebond, So this finial is a little bit of a loose fit. I've got plenty of shoulder between the base of the finial and the tenon. So I'm not too worried about squeeze out, but I don't want a lot of squeeze out. All right, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put this in and just coat the surfaces a little bit and then let it tack up for a minute. So I'll pull a little more Titebond in there. And now my finial's pretty tight fitting because I got some glue filling up and swelling the fibers up. So now to put the jewel in. I've got that little pin vise and I'm going to use it handheld, and you can see in there the little hole that was drilled in the center of the bigger hole, which will guide my drill up into the finial, and I'm just turning it by hand and pushing. And now to glue the fastener in, I don't actually need much in the way of glue, and I probably would rather use epoxy for this than Titebond, but I don't want to take the time to mix epoxy, so I'm going to just get a little drop of Titebond and I'll run it around the rim of the hole. I don't want so much glue on there, and a little bit in the middle down in the hole. I want so much glue on there that I get glue on the facets of the stone, because that'll mar its brilliance. Okay, I've got my faceted stone in there, and the post of the earring is drilled up into the finial a little ways to act as a bit of a fastener.